Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to The Angry Chicken, a podcast about Hearthstone. I am Garrett Weinzel, and I'm joined, as always, by Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. Guys, welcome back.
Hello.
What up? Happy birthday, everybody.
Happy birthday, indeed. If you are watching the video version, you will notice that we all look quite snazzy, and that's because 1 year ago, the first episode of this show came out. Episode 1 of The Angry Chicken, entitled Death by Sheep, which was a reference to me killing Jocelyn in one of our first games ever with a sheep.
It was fabulous.
Yeah. Remember that? Mage was really good, and everyone played a lot of Mage.
Yep, Pyroblast was 8 mana.
Yeah, Mind Control 8 mana. Oh, man, those are the days.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the other day, the Rogue Hero Power. How insane was that thing? Oh, my God. It's like crazy to think how the game is now. I feel like right now, even though a lot of people are angry at Hunter, we're going to talk about that later.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like compared to how it's ever been, this is definitely the best. I can't believe it's been a year, honestly, since we started doing the show. But all of the changes, all of the classes that have been ridiculous, everybody, we need to get rid of this, nerf this. Over all that time, we're now at a point where I feel like everything's kind of pretty good.
Yeah,
well.
I mean, unless you read things tweeted at people, which we'll also get into.
Wow. Yeah.
But
everyone will always be super hyperbolic about the class that they just lost to.
What? Really? What are you talking about, Dills?
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
So yeah, I mean, it is not something about how long this game has been out already, how long we've been doing this show. If it seems like just yesterday that you and I, Dills, not Jocelyn, unfortunately, we're going to BlizzCon with only I think we only had like 5 episodes under our belt when we went.
It was we were a very new show. Actually, I did have people come up to me while we were there and say that they enjoyed the show, but that was really surprising because we had just started.
I agreed. Like same here, and like people showed up for the live recording that we did at the Hilton and all that jazz, and I was just it was strange. It was very strange.
Yeah.
But
we didn't know where this would take us. We knew we were going to talk about Hearthstone. We didn't know that we were going to receive all of the support over this entire year that we have, and just so many things have happened, and it's wonderful. It's awesome. You were emailing me earlier, asking for some stuff that would never have happened had this show not been successful. So.
No, I've had to grow up really fast as a result of the success of this show.
You gotta figure things out when people actually enjoy what you do. And actually, I just want to give a shout out to Vojtek. I'm saying his name probably wrong again because that's what I always do. But he came down here to San Francisco and went and saw the Sharks play. And he's a fan of this show, a fan of some of the other shows that I do and stuff too. But he was asking about the trolls. It must be whatever. And we've had the trolls, but as an overall experience, the feedback has been amazing on this show. It's been almost overwhelmingly positive. So,
absolutely, of all the shows I've done, this by far seems to have the loudest and most supportive fans.
Yeah, and we really appreciate that, 100%. Jocelyn, though, are you getting all the support you need?
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
It's been good. So thanks to everyone. If you've subscribed, if you download an episode, if you watched it anywhere, thanks. Because this would just be creepy if it was just 3 people recording themselves and no one listening to it. So it would not be very cool at all. It'd be super weird. Everyone's making fun of my hair in the chat room, and I'm due for a haircut, so I thought tonight I would go as a caricature of Reynad.
You're not due for a haircut, dude. That looks amazing.
It's not sustainable. This is not something I can do on a daily basis.
Let this go a little bit further. Is it because of the cost
of hair products?
Yeah, it's because of the time it takes out of my day.
Well, you could always go hat. I mean,
I've been going hat a lot.
You go hat, you never go back.
I spend very little time on my hair.
Yeah.
Dry it, hat goes on, good to go. Leave the house, no pants, no shirt, just hat. I'm good.
So, anyways, if you're all out there are wanting to do something kind of funny and weird, go back and listen to the first episode of the show, because I listened to the first 10 minutes and it was amusing, to say the least.
Oh, was it? Oh, man.
It's just like it's not bad. My other shows have had much worse first episodes, but it's still funny. It's still funny to hear it. Like all of us, like not sure how we're reacting to each other as hosts on a show because we've never really done a show together.
Well, I pretty much hated both of you guys, so I was just fighting through that the whole time. Yeah, just trying my hardest to pretend like I could tolerate the two of you.
Yeah, the whole time Dills is just sitting here like, why did I agree to do this? I vehemently cannot stand the two people I'm on the show with.
I'm way too cool for this. This is silly. What am I doing here? I remember like though I knew Garrett. I didn't know Jocelyn that well. And so we were just like kind of like getting to know each other. We were building this chemistry like right then and there in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was so nervous because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be on a show. Obviously, I was a huge fan of The Instance. I'm like, I'm going to be on a show with Dills. And then Garrett and I had only ever podcasted once. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be on a show with Dills and Garrett. And I think I forgot to talk for the first half hour.
I'm now going to go listen to this and I'm going to check.
It's a good time. We're gonna our first night at BlizzCon or the night before. We're just gonna have a bunch of drinks and we're gonna flip it on. We're just gonna make fun of our. We should riff tracks our own first episode.
If you really want to hear somebody be awkward on their first show, though, if you go listen to the first podcast I ever did, which you can actually find because I think it's just the first episode of the MJ Mediocast, I was a complete noob to the whole thing, so I was talking, I'd figured out how to record it, whatever, but we were using just like a laptop and GarageBand, and I was monitoring myself, but I couldn't figure out how to make it so that I could hear myself at the same time I was talking. So my voice was coming into my headphones slightly behind when I was talking. So the whole time I sound stoned because I'm like waiting to hear my own voice. So I'm talking really slowly and weirdly, and I mean, I thought we were funny, kind of, and that was the whole goal of the show at the time, but it was really not polished and professional in any way at all.
I have tried recording once with what you just described, which was, hearing yourself on a slight delay. Now I hear myself because I have a mixer, but it's one-to-one. It's instant. Yeah. And it was terrible. I luckily we weren't doing it live yet, and I was like, guys, I have to stop and refigure this out. We're not doing a show this week. I don't know what the hell's going on. I can't do this.
Can't do it. No,
I feel like I'm having a perpetual stroke. Like,
yeah, it's actually really difficult. I think there is a machine that actually basically does this. That's supposed to make you have a hard time speaking, essentially. I'll have to look what this, but that's basically what it's doing. Is it's taking your own voice, delaying it a certain amount of time, and then it's impossible to talk correctly.
Yeah, no. If folks want to hear my first podcast, which is terrible, you can find it somewhere. The first episode of StarCast can still be found out there somewhere. If you can find my file naming extensions, they have never changed. So they can be found, and I'm pretty sure it's up on the starcast.com, which is a website that is still going but has not actually been updated in like 6 months at least. But it's a terrible first episode. But if you want to see what I believe is the worst thing I've ever done in podcasting, find the episode of Forecast with Scott Johnson and Tom Merritt I was on, because I was nervous, my prediction was terrible, and I was a mess.
You froze up, huh?
It was an absolute mess.
I think I'm gonna have to go check that out. Jocelyn, what was your first show?
Terrible.
I want to go find this.
Actually.
Oh, okay. Is there an episode number?
I can't remember now, but it was like, it would have been about 3 years ago now, because it was when Nicole first went off when she had Mateo. So it's probably like October or November 2011. It was probably just before we started Gamers In, which is also terrible. Do not go listen to the first episode of that because it's really, really bad.
Find it, buy a domain that is first episode of gamersin.com, and make a monument to it, please. Somebody out there.
No, it's terrible. We were trying this whole thing where we were just like, we're really going to own this in concept. And, we had all these different like medieval themed segments and stuff. It was so bad. We dropped it after the first episode. We were just like, nope, that did not work.
All right, I thought I'd found it, but I guess this is when you had Kim on Gamers In, so I gotta I'm gonna have to dig a little deeper.
We'll
digging deeper.
Somebody out there, find this please, and shoot it to us on Twitter. We'd really appreciate it.
The internet.
We want to bask in Jocelyn's shame.
Oh no! Actually, the Ladies of Elite one I think went pretty well. I was quite nervous and giggly, but I'm always giggly, so it's
you were a natural, I'm sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, enough reminiscing for now. We still have a normal show to do.
Yeah, that's true.
We're just
gonna
do it while looking mighty sexy. That's what's special about today. So audio only.
Cheers to you guys, by the way.
Oh,
cheers.
Indeed. I forgot to make a drink because I'm an idiot.
Oh, you didn't make your martini?
No, I was going to make a martini. And you know what? Hold on. You guys talk while I text the future missus and see if I can conjure up.
Honey, you know that thing about how we're getting married? Important part of that is that you make martinis for me periodically while I wear bow ties and podcast.
Sounds like the best marriage ever.
For one of them, for one of the people involved. All right, I have no idea if that will be met with help or with.
Hopefully, it's
disdain.
met with martini.
Hopefully, it's met with martini, but it might. I may just go into the bedroom later this evening and she'll just point to the couch. I don't know. We'll see. Anywho,
like, there's a martini. I dumped it on the couch.
So it's sticky, wet. Smells a little funky.
And that's where you sleep.
And that's where you sleep. Enjoy. By the way, the cats are out there, and they're on catnip tonight, so have fun wrestling them before you go to bed. Anyways, let's get into it. This week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
It's a lighter week on Hearthstone news as we inch dangerously close to BlizzCon weekend, which guys, is 3 weeks and 3 days away.
Yeah,
it's
wow.
nuts.
A lot closer than I realized.
Yeah, this Friday it'll be 3 weeks away. So
yeah,
that's
So I fly out Thursday. So yeah,
I fly out super early Thursday morning. Luckily,
we're all getting there Thursday morning, right?
Yeah,
Jocelyn
will
I'm
already
there
be
Wednesday.
there. Yeah, luckily today I got a message from the future missus going, "Hey, I booked us a hotel for the night before we leave since it's too early and you should think of this."
I love that she's so organized for you.
Oh yes, I would fall apart without her. Anyways, there has been some interesting chatter over on Twitter. Ben Brode has been just blowing up the tweets because folks have been trying to blow him up with questions. So some of them worth mentioning. People have been asking him if there have been any changes or any plans to change the Warlock hero power. And Ben said that no, though we are keeping an eye on Warlock as a whole, which I feel like has been mentioned before.
Yeah. I mean, this is nothing new that people think that hero power is insane, and it is. I mean, Gary, you play Magic before you ever played this game.
Don't bring up Magic, man. People get really mad when you mention
so much trouble.
If you mention anything other than Hearthstone on the show, people get very mad.
Here's what people need to do: is they need to shut the hell up if they're going to tell us that we can't talk about something.
After we just
played Magic and there was a card that said spend 2 mana, pay 2 life, draw a card, put this card back in your hand. That would be a really good card. Right?
Yes, it would be. It would be standard playable until it rotated out.
Yeah, that would be a really good card. And there is cards kind of like that, but they go away. Just keep it. Just continue to be able to do it every single turn.
Treasure Cruise is my buddy right now in Cons of Turkir, and that'll be all I'll say about that.
Okay.
Okay.
But I mean, there's some pretty strong draw mechanics in that game, but to have it just as part of your class,
something you can always go to,
consistent draw that you can always do, is insane, and rightfully so. People are concerned that this is too powerful, but I don't think that currently it is a problem. So, I think they're on the right track. Keep an eye on it. Warlock has been kind of the top class for a long time now. I mean, the Hearth stats monthly reports seem to have proven that. Like the Warlock has always been near the top and constructed, but it doesn't dominate arena play, right? So it must be somewhat okay as a class overall.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I don't know. I mean, me personally, I play against plenty of them, and I win against plenty of them. It's not like I see a Warlock and I'm like, oh well, I guess I lose. That's how I felt about Miracle Rogue, 6 months ago. But I've never felt that way about Warlock. It just it always it's obviously Zulak as the way it currently exists, it isn't as coin flippy as Murloc, as like the old Murloc decks were, but that's still kind of how I feel about it. It's like, well, if they get a really good opening hand, I'm gonna have a hard time, but it doesn't mean an insta loss.
Sure. Yeah, and it does make certain types of decks more viable with Warlock, such as playing a crap ton of 1-drops. because you empty your hand, you just refill it again. But other classes have ways to do that too. I mean, the Paladin Shakadin deck has, you know, the Divine Favor and stuff like that where you can refill your hand. Obviously, Hunter had their massive draw mechanic nerfed, but you know, there's ways to deal with this in other classes too. So I right now I feel like Ben Brode's correct. This is not a huge problem; it needs to be changed right away. But yeah, keep an eye on it. Maybe one day you need to do like 3 life or something instead of 2. I don't know.
I don't know. I really like it the way it is. Especially
I don't think they need to change
since the other built-in thing that it's not a hero power, but it's pretty much it's only on the Warlock cards at the moment. Is discarding cards is such a it's such a staple of being a Warlock that you almost need that hero power to compensate for that. And I like the way it feels. You feel having played a Warlock many times in World of Warcraft. I always loved being, you know, low. I'm gonna sap my own life to stay in the fight.
Yeah, life tapping as a Warlock in WoW is a huge mechanic, and it's a huge mechanic in Hearthstone. It was actually so. Warlock was the first class I got to 60. I mean, I played much more Warlock than anything else, and yeah, I never felt completely overpowered. I definitely felt like it was always a good deck. I like the fact there's lots of different ways to play it, and that hero power does allow you to create decks kind of around it more than any other hero power, I think. But in the end, you can find ways to make all the hero powers effective. You know, like this Hunter one. I always thought it was terrible, and then as the game has progressed, it's become a hero power that allows you to kind of play a little differently because you can always get that damage in, and you can build a deck around not necessarily having to find damage in your hand. You could just find it with your class and then do other things with your hand. So
yeah, no,
every hero power is a way to work.
I think all of us, well, except actually Jocelyn, you were kind of a champion of the Hunter from episode 1 until now.
Always.
But Dills, I feel like you and I really did undervalue the Hunter hero power in the early days of this show.
Yeah, probably.
And that probably highlights the negative side of comparing Hearthstone to existing card games. That being said, there's still a lot you can learn by looking at games that have been around a lot longer. But yeah,
and anybody who can play, and I like that. Like I mentioned Magic, and you're like, whoa, because I know you got some grief about apparently talking because you went and played a freaking Grand Prix. Of course, you're gonna talk about that on this show. But
I'm going to pretend that I live in a bubble that doesn't have any other card game that's ever.
Yeah, when you talk about a card game, other card games are going to come up, and right now Magic is the one that I feel is the one that's gonna draw a lot more.
And Jocelyn can vouch for me. I worked very hard to like trim down my talk to I want it to be as broad and as Hearthstone specific as possible.
We did so well. It was all about just competitive spirit and mindset. It wasn't necessarily that it had anything to do with either Hearthstone or Magic specifically. It wasn't just like, let's talk about Garrett's experience at the tournament. It's like, we talked about sports. We talked about every kind of competitive environment you can be in. So.
Exactly. Got a little specific at the beginning, but that's because you were genuinely curious, Jocelyn.
Well, I quite enjoyed it. So just imagine whenever I'm not here.
I have to interrupt you. I have to interrupt you, Dills, just for a second. Can we all round of applause for my fiance who just brought me a martini?
Wow, it really
Yay!
went. I love you, babe. Thank you.
He's a keeper.
Thank you. This is one of the many reasons why I'm marrying you.
The martinis, the never-ending martinis.
That's dirty. You're trying
dirty
to do
good
to
or
me.
dirty bad?
It's really
made with love too. I'm sure.
Oh. Okay. All
really
right.
classing up the joint there with your dirty martini.
Actually, it's an appletini. I'm just trying to.
I'm
trying to sound manly to the audio crowd that can't see that this thing is like Ninja
Very
Turtle
green.
green.
Actually, Garrett did. Some people may be listening. They're like, he's probably joking. It's not an appletini. He ordered an appletini at Nerd Digest.
I don't shy away from it. I love appletinis. I don't care.
Hey, man, like drinking candy, dude. Just go for it.
I drink so much beer that resembles tar and love it that every now and then I want something that tastes like a damn Jolly Rancher, okay?
Sure.
I
want to be
it.
drunk at the end. I want to put candy in my mouth and then come together and drunk.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Anywho.
So
Ben Brode on Twitter. Yeah. I feel like we're gonna get a little off topic tonight because we're all drinking, we're all dressed up, and we're all having fun, and I'm gonna die of a heat stroke. Because holy crap, it's hot in this office with this jacket on.
You have to keep it on.
I know.
All night. If I have to stay like this, you have to stay like that.
I feel like I'm back like at like high school, like homecoming or something, where it's like, well, I gotta look good, but it is hot in this gymnasium, and this music is bad. It's getting hot in here. So, moving on with Ben Brode's Twitter barrage. Someone also asked him, what is the reason to leave Undertaker as is? He is overpowered, and even over-nerfing is better than its current state. I do want to throw daggers at this person through the internet. Over-nerfing is never good. Never.
This is just somebody who's just gotten beat by it a bunch of times.
Right. And
reactionary.
To some point, I agree with it, but I think the answer is just add more cards. I don't want to leave the cards.
Yeah.
But that being said, let's see what Ben Brode had to say about it. He said, and I quote, "I believe he is powerful. I do not believe he is so powerful that he must be nerfed." And then he also went on to say that there are currently no plans to change the Undertaker.
Yeah, I think Undertaker is okay. Undertaker is kind of, it is absolutely a really good card when you draw it on turn 1, and you have the coin, and you have the leper gnome. That's kind of a lot of things that have to happen, right? You know, to make it insane. And yes, it does kind of have a tendency to snowball if you build a deck that has just a ton of death rattles. But then you have to build a deck that has a ton of death rattles, and you're kind of limiting yourself in what your deck can do. So I don't think there's really a problem. I think if there were to be any changes, you make him a 2/1 instead of a 1/2, and then it's just a little easier to kill. He does a little more damage, but he's a little easier to kill. Because that's really the problem.
And even that, I'm like,
I don't know though. Like, if you make it a 2/1 and mage is so prevalent right now, they're just going to ping it off with a hero power, and you might not. You might as well just not play the card.
Yeah, but I mean, there's other 2/1s out there. Mage isn't a. You can't like in constructed say, well, I'm always going to be playing mages. So, but then again, you can still do turn 1, coin, another 1-drop with death rattle, and then it's a 3/2, you know. So I think really, I mean, if you're gonna do anything, you do that. I don't think you need to do anything personally. I just think people need to adapt to the fact that it's here. People need to start running arcane shots and smites and other ways to deal with.
Don't go off the deep end there. That's some strong words, but
oh man, people need to react and make decks different.
No. And honestly, I think reacting is a good kind of rebuttal to Jocelyn's point. I mean, Jocelyn, you made a good point. Yeah, it would, if it was a 2/1, it would just die to mage. But also, you would have to play an Undertaker differently against the mage if that was the case. You don't
exactly.
Play it turn 1.
That's the thing. I don't think that it needs the nerf. If it does get a nerf, that's the only nerf that to me really makes sense. I've heard people say make it a 1/1. That's insane. That's way too much. I mean,
yeah, no,
it's just unusable completely. If it's
I personally, I don't know. I'm a big defender for it. Really, all the Nax cards, I'm very happy with where they're at. I don't want to see Lotheb change, even though Lotheb's in about every damn deck you can think of, as well as Undertaker. I don't want to see change. This is just, I don't know. I think this is going to be the way it is until new cards are added, and I'm okay with that.
I think it's fun.
And hell, we're going to talk about in the strategy section today how quickly people adapt to there being changes. The things that people have been asking to be nerfed for the longest time have been nerfed, and it hasn't changed jack. Like in terms of
things get nerfed and people find a way. I mean, a class that's good finds a way. Leroy gets nerfed, and people are still finding ways to burst you down at the end.
Right. They splice the chromosomes of Leroy with that of frogs that can change sex from time to time, given the lack. And as Jeff Goldblum, life finds a way.
Life finds a way. It's true. Yeah. I put a little drop of water on my hand. And
substituting Star Wars references for Jurassic Park references this week. That's what I'm working on.
See, those I can really relate to.
You two dig up dinosaurs. Anyways, yeah, I like
keep it the same. It's
fine. Case in point, I like Undertaker.
It's a good card. Yeah, you know what else too? It's another reason why it's actually fine as a card is when you draw it late, it sucks. So. It's only crazy when the guy gets double Undertaker opener and you just have no answer. That's when it's like it's really good. But the chances are that it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
that often.
You know what else is crazy? When druids get turn 1 Yetis, but that doesn't happen very often either. You don't see anyone asking for a nerf of druids.
Yeah.
And then finally, the last one I wanted to talk about, and big thanks to Tash for putting all these together for us. What are the team's thoughts on neutral spells? To which, and I love this, Ben Brode replied, hard to flavor. What do you call them? Punch? Which,
all right.
He's so fun.
Made me very happy.
Yeah, I think it definitely is, because there's not really neutral spells in the game of World of Warcraft, so you're kind of stuck with a little bit of a problem there. So I think what you do is you do things like minions with really cool battle cries that do things that maybe a spell might do.
What about
deal with stuff like that?
What about spells that are either attached to professions or things like mount up? I don't know what the benefit would be, but they are things that every single class in World of Warcraft have access to.
Well, we talked about that. If classes had professions, and you could say, you know, I'm a rogue blacksmith, and so I get some cool weapons or armor or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can do things that are kind of available to everybody that would do kind of what a spell does. I think that would be cool. That could be really amazing. There's some balance issues around that, obviously, but you can do a lot of this stuff with just battle cries. You know, you could have a minion that gets rid of a secret, and it's not a spell; it's just a minion as a battle cry. Remove a secret from the opponent. You know,
and it's also a better card as a result, because it puts a body on the board and does something.
Yeah, and then you just cost it based on, you know, what needs to be costed for it to work out as far as balance. So, I mean, there's ways to do what people want to be done with neutral spells with just neutral minions. I think that would be the way that they would probably go over this. But eventually, I would like to see. I love the idea of professions. Be a tailor and be able to, you know, do some magic cloth or something. Does something. It would be amazing. Be awesome.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what they would add. I don't think we're going to see anything like this anytime soon, but I don't know. I could see something like professions or mounts. I don't know how that would work in a card game, but something.
You could do something like mount up gives like everything charge or something.
That could be interesting, and then give like charge, like give it to all the I mean, obviously there's minions with charge, but really warrior are the only ones that have a lot of fun with that mechanic. It could be interesting. That's a good point.
We when my buddy was here from Seattle, and we tried doing some weird games, you know, some interesting ways to play.
Is this Hearthstone, or is this just you and a couple guys doing weird things?
Just a couple dudes playing some weird games.
Playing some weird games, man.
No, but we did basically like choose a word, search it, and then put every single card that uses that word in your deck, and then autofill the rest of it. And I chose charge, and he chose taunt, and he just destroyed me. Because all my minions had 1 health. All of his minions had, you know, divine shield, and it was insane.
That's great. I love
But it was a cool little idea. It was fun, you know.
So you're saying all taunt is new meta?
That's like as bad as our angry chicken games, where we're like, well, you can only attack with your chicken, and then very quickly we're like, wait, this just is dumb.
Yeah, this doesn't really work. It takes forever.
There's no.
But it is funny. No, but basically it was proven taunt is really good, as long as the other guy only runs charge. Then taunt is amazing.
Yep. In other news this week, the 2014 BlizzCon schedule has been released.
Ooh.
And as to be expected, there's some Hearthstone stuff worth noting. First off, the World Championship starts an hour before anything else. Like you can go in like at 8:45, or not 8:45, but an hour before the opening ceremony, and there will be Hearthstone Pro games being played.
They need time, man. It's gonna take a long time.
I don't know. I found this funny because if you can name a Blizzard game, with the exception of some really old stuff like Rock and Roll Racing, there is a major tournament for it going on this weekend. We have the WoW Arena, we have the StarCraft WCS, we have the Hearthstone World Championship, and we even have exhibition matches going on for Heroes of the Storm. I just found it hilarious that of all of these things, only Hearthstone is the only one that apparently needs to start early and run through the end of the entire convention.
Yep.
It's probably because the EU games took so long. They were up to like 4 a.m. or something crazy.
They're all going to be playing priest versus priest, and it's just going to take forever.
They also had a lot more.
Taking their whole turns to figure things out. And,
they also had a lot more.
It's going to be a long time.
Yeah, but they didn't. They had a lot more games to deal with in the EU. We're going to be down to what, the round of 8 come BlizzCon?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's not going to be that many people, but these games take a long time. People really think through their turns, and you have to do a format that allows for the RNG to come out of the equation at least somewhat, and so
the thing I do like about this though, and we don't have a hard schedule, so I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I'm assuming that because of the way this is scheduled and how far into the bracket we will be come actual BlizzCon, I wouldn't be surprised if every single game didn't make it on stage, because in the past with StarCraft, there's been so many games that there's been quite a few played off stage, not casted, and we're just shown after the fact in like VOD packages. So
well, maybe that's why it is going to take so long, is because they're planning on giving everyone the stage.
Yeah, which I hope, because that makes for a much better spectator environment.
All I know is on Saturday at 1:00, I know exactly where I will be.
Yep.
I will be at that Hearthstone World Championship final for sure.
And you're gonna save 3 seats at least, please.
Sure. If you want to rely on me to be the seat saver, good luck with that.
I'll do it, Garrett. Don't worry.
Thank you, Jocelyn. You're the queen of spreadsheets and apparently saving seats.
I love organizing things. I don't think that's a surprise.
That's something we didn't mention at the top of the show. How much Jocelyn does behind the scenes to keep the wheels of this show moving. It's impressive, and I didn't expect it going in, because I don't know. I was just like I guess I didn't know you that well, so I was just like, well, let's see. I have to edit the show. I have to post it. Now I need to figure out the show notes. Oh, look, the show notes are finished. What the hell? So, thank you, Jocelyn.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Jocelyn.
Also, the first day, Friday, for BlizzCon at 3 p.m. This is all Pacific time, by the way, because we're going to be over in California. They're going to have a big Hearthstone panel called the Fireside Chat. So the devs are going to be there, quote, discussing some of the upcoming content. So there's no way we're not getting some card previews, right? Like, we're going to see some new cards.
We have to. Yeah, we have to.
We'll get something.
I was surprised at how there wasn't something that just said, like, Hearthstone announcement, whatever. We're having this Fireside Chat thing. That's got to be where they talk about that. And then I'm curious what this arena thing is. You guys see the Be Good at Arena or whatever it is?
I think they did something. Master thing.
Yeah,
they have done things very similarly in the past for StarCraft, where they've had a couple pros come on that were available. That were there, obviously, probably for the tournament, I would assume, and they discuss how to get to Grandmaster or something like that.
So I'm guessing maybe we get a little Trump action there.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're talking arena, there is no way you don't get Trump to show up.
Yeah, I could see like a Trump, Crip, Hafu, little summit talking about how to play some good arenas, and I would very much enjoy that if that happened.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good arena players out there, though. You guys know who Cherry Warrior is? You guys ever watch him?
Nope.
You
should check him out. He plays death metal the whole time, and he has really long curly hair, and he plays nothing but arena, and I'm pretty sure he has more arena wins than anybody in the world. And he streams, and he usually gets around like 200 or 300 people or something like that.
That's pretty nuts.
Very good. Very, very good at arena. Like 70-something% win rate in arena.
I give up. Jacket is coming off. I'm melting.
I
can't.
It's all right, buddy. It's all right.
Can't do it anymore. Bow tie will stay on, though, till the bitter end.
Okay, good.
As long as you get the bow tie and the hair going, you're good.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The hair won't stay around if I keep sweating. Also, and this is not Hearthstone related, there's a huge gap, if you look at the schedule, between the opening ceremony ending at 11:45 and the first panels that start up at 2 p.m. Are we buying this, guys? Do we think that there's seriously nothing except esports going on for those 2 hours? Or do we think something's getting announced during the opening ceremony and then a panel about said announcement afterwards?
I mean, I think that it's okay to have like a half an hour of spread out and look at stuff, but I don't think we have 2 hours of that. So I think there's something there. And we talked about it on the instance actually this week, and we think there's going to be some sort of a new game announced, brand new game.
Think it'll be something kind of a little more small, team size, like Hearthstone?
Well, Scott was predicting something like a Warcraft 4.
Don't say that. Don't get me that excited.
Yeah, I mean that would be amazing, but I don't know. I can't say, oh, that's definitely what it's gonna be. But I think we see something. I think we see something new, something that none of us know about. Nobody's predicted, and it's just, and we all have nerdgasms together.
I would be
amazing.
So insanely excited for another Warcraft.
It would be cool, right? It's about time. I think.
Man.
Well, then they are redoing Warcraft 3, right?
That's what
no,
we
they're
know.
not redoing it. They just released it.
For
like making it playable on computer, like they're bringing it back essentially,
but
right?
it's not actually like redone at all. It's basically just a port over so you can play it on a modern machine.
Yeah,
and they did that,
right? But
yeah, they did that. Yeah,
I mean, people are stoked, but honestly, I still go back and play Warcraft 3 at least once a year. It's had 16:9 capability for a long time now, so there's really nothing to get that excited about.
Yeah, it's a weird looking game right now, but it's still fun. I still see people streaming that game, and I still see competitions for it. You know, that game may never die.
It's a solid RTS, and I know this is a show about Hearthstone, but Blizzard's really it as far as solid real time strategy games are concerned at the moment. There's not a whole lot of competition. There's some really great stuff, being backed on Kickstarter and whatnot. But like, I mean, StarCraft's it. What other RTS is being played competitively? StarCraft 1. That is it.
Is there like Command and Conquer big tournaments going
really,
on?
No. Like that's it. So
no.
I don't know. Honestly, I'd like to see some other competitive RTSs enter the fray.
It would be good. Yeah, it would be good. I think it would freshen up that genre a little bit to have a little competition going on there.
Absolutely. So, anyways, I'm excited for BlizzCon. I know you two are, but let's talk about something that I think both Dills and Jocelyn are going to be very excited about, which is Hunters in this week's strategy.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay.
Apple teeny, light on the teeny.
I'm pretty sure Rexar drinks apple teenies.
Absolutely.
I think maybe his urine might be that color, but I don't think he drinks apple teenies.
Oh, come on. He's always out in the wild. I'm sure he does fruit things all the time.
That's what he has a just a little bowl out with apple teeny for Misha down there. He's just chilling. He loves apple teenies. Little known fact. I'm excited to talk Hunter, you guys, because can we all remember what happened when the nerf came out and we all made our predictions about what happened to Hunter?
Yeah. I don't. If I remember correctly,
I should have listened to it so I knew what we said. But
if
most of us said that we thought it was pretty much gone.
If I remember correctly, I think the three of us came to the conclusion that we were pretty unsure of the future of Hunter, but that since we had been so wrong in the past about changes, that we weren't just counting it out.
Yeah. I think it was just. I think it was one of those things where we knew that this was going to horribly affect the way that they played the Hunter class, but we didn't know if that meant that Hunter would just go away or not. I heard some people say Hunter is gone, Trump. Hunter will no longer be viable. And that is definitely not the case.
Nope.
If you're playing on the ladder right now, there is a crap ton of Hunter. So that fun little moment when I got to play Handlock that one night for a little while, those days are gone.
Yep.
You still can. Handlock is still pretty good, but the Hunter is definitely back. And right now, I think I played the other day, maybe 3 hours or something, and I think I played maybe 60% Hunters against Hunters. And I was playing Hunter myself, so...
All Hunter all the time.
Yeah. It's just good class, man. It's really good, even without the Unleash combo.
Been playing a lot of Shaman, man, and Hunters are giving me a hard time because, I can't heal. So
yeah, the good news is you can put minions on the board though.
Yes, quite a few, and I can really roadblock you to hell and back.
Yeah, that has changed. Because before it was it's Hunter, I can't put any minions on the board. As a shaman, my hero power is useless. As a paladin, my hero power is useless. I'm just giving them more cards and more dogs. That has changed, so you can play against Hunter a lot better than it was before. So I really like the change that was made. But it doesn't mean that Hunter suddenly became crappy. It's gotten a little bit more of an aggro deck, a little more face oriented, and more traps are getting involved. So before we
dive in, I just want to say one thing, which is just how awesome this whole thing kind of as a concept is, because this deck and the variants of it could have existed before the nerf.
Absolutely.
There's not a single card in here that has been changed since TAC's release.
I mean, the one thing you could have had this deck before the nerf. You could have had this deck with a couple of small changes before Nax even. I mean, this is kind of the same basis as Yang Wu's Secret Hunter deck. Remember? I mean, there's a lot of similarities here.
Yep.
Obviously, some stuff like Undertaker and Mad Scientist and Lotheb and things like that make it a much better deck. Web Spinner.
Well, you mean Mad Scientist makes a deck that has Secret in the name better?
Mm-hmm. Sure does.
Wow.
But you could have done something like this before even Nax, and it would have been fine.
See, that was kind of the big problem, and why the nerf, or quote unquote nerf, was so great for hunters, is because everyone got in such a rut with Hunter, and everyone was doing the same thing, the same decks. You had those 2 buzzards and the 2 unleash cards, which just kind of choked up the deck. You didn't have a lot of flexibility because you had to have that combo. So now that you don't, now that that's out of there, everyone's experimenting so much more, and it's way more interesting.
Exactly.
It is really cool.
Yeah, Jocelyn, you took the words right out of my mouth. That was what I was. So I just think it's awesome, the innovation that and how quickly this came about. Yes, it's similar to decks that have happened in the past, but the fact that it's so incredibly effective and so well tuned, in the wake of this nerf to hunters, it's awesome, and this is the kind of stuff I get really excited about seeing.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially the idea behind this deck is to control the board enough to get a bunch of hero powers in, to allow yourself to finish off with a bunch of the kind of bursty potential that hunters have. And there's a lot of different ways people are doing. Some people are still running Unleash, but they're doing stuff like Knife Juggler, Unleash. So you're still seeing that a little bit too. So this is just my take on it. And everybody can take a couple of these concepts and these cards and then figure out their own way. Everyone's got a different collection of traps that they're using. Everyone's got a different collection of late game cards that they're using. But the core of the deck really, I think, is around your 1 and 2 drops. And that's kind of where you're going to see some uniformity in this deck. And so that really is the Undertaker, the Web Spinners, the Leper Gnomes, the Mad Scientist, and the Haunted Creepers. I think pretty much everyone's playing that. Pretty much everyone's playing that little core set. And outside of that, it's what traps do you want? And are you going to put in Savannah Highmanes? Are you going to put in a Lotheb? Are you going to put in Sludge Belchers? That kind of stuff. So the core of the deck is really that opener and getting a solid beginning to the game, building a lot of early tempo with some strong minions that are a little bit sticky, and then being able to hero power consistently. The thing is, though, they don't have a lot of card draws. So it's similar to other kind of face decks that you do get a little bit card starved around turn 6, 7, 8. So Gary, you were playing this deck a little bit. Did you experience that?
Not really, because I almost always ended the game around those turns.
I was going to say I either won or lost by 7 max.
And that's actually a really good point, because oftentimes if you haven't won by then yeah, you've gotten to be the card dead situation. That's a little bit tough to crawl out of.
Yeah.
But if you have been playing the deck in the proper way, you usually have the game kind of won at that point.
I had one game that looked very dire. It was against the priest, so it went a little longer because he was healing himself. And I did get to the point where I just had no cards in hand. Because your variant of this runs no loot hoarders, really has no card draw mechanics.
Yeah, you could throw those in and shake out a couple other things in this, and you'd be fine. But
right. And that's fine, but I seriously thought I was on the ropes, and I'm like, I'm done. But I got him down to 13 health, and I had one high main out that he could not deal with.
Sure.
And then I had let's see, I'm trying to think of the exact. It might have, I can't even remember if it was a high main now. It may actually have been a buffed minion thanks to Houndmaster. Whatever the case was, I had the bow equipped. I had some beast on board, and I top decked a kill command. I'm like, oh wow, I have lethal now.
Yeah, it just happens that way.
I just happened. Like I thought I was done. I'm like, oh holy crap, I have 13 damage all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Well, that's the thing. Someone in chat just said this deck has no late game. No, it has 2 Savannah Highmanes. That's all the late game you need.
and Sludge Belchers.
No more late game is necessary. You don't need a Ragnaros to have late game.
It's there's your version of this has 2 high mains, 2 Sludge Belchers, and a Loatheb.
No, just one Sludge Belcher.
Just one Belcher.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
Sorry,
one Sludge Belcher.
Yeah.
I
did drop I dropped the second Belcher because I found that oftentimes I was getting, if I ever had 2 of them in my hand, it never was very good. So I wanted to just make sure I only ever got one.
I'm also getting it confused with this. There was a Liquid Hearth article, but from JB Fletcher that was also talking about Hunter, and I believe she ran 2 Belchers. Yes,
double Belcher. Yeah. A lot of people are running double Belcher because it's a really good card.
It's just
I just found that when I was getting to those turns, if I did have my hand a little clogged with Belchers, it was a little bit rough. And what I wanted to draw more. Like, Belcher's not going to do too much damage to the opponent. It's going to stop lethal, essentially. And it's going to allow you to save some of your other minions. And that's really what I use Belcher for in this deck, is protect other minions so I can continue to do damage with them, or stop the lethal turn to allow me to then get lethal the next turn. So give me one more turn, essentially, is what Sludge Belcher does.
Yeah,
it's kind of like my ice block,
Yeah, and it's funny, with the one Belcher, and while Kill Command, I think we would all kind of recommend that you try and use those as your lethal damage dealing spells. Sometimes you have to use it as removal, and because of those cards all existing along with Eaglehorn Bow, last week I talked about when to switch to Beatdown. This deck is kind of on its face Beatdown, and it can actually flip the switch to Control without that much issue.
Yeah, that's true. You generally play the board control game for like turns 1 through 4, and then you just, at that point, you have done damage. I mean, it's very rare that at that point you haven't gotten the opponent down to at least 20 or lower. And then it's just, okay, well, now I have hero power every turn, and the pressure's on. So I can switch to Beatdown because you have to trade as the opponent. Because you're just going to die. You are just going to die if you don't clear this board.
Yeah.
So oftentimes it's around turn 4, maybe turn 5 at the latest, where I really just switch into I go face now, and you better deal with it. The one issue that I have with this deck is when I lose my early minions, it can be really hard to catch back up, and that's what the old Buzzard Unleashed did so well, which is if you fall behind at all, you have this insane catch-up mechanic where you fill your hand back up and you clear the board at the same time. And obviously Hunters don't have that ability anymore. So
chat room's asking, and I'm honestly curious too, why do you run one Snake Trap in yours without what a lot of people else, a lot of the other Hunters run it for, which is the Hyena?
The Snake Trap, Hyena I've seen chucked around a little bit as maybe good, maybe bad, but I feel like it falls short way too often. The Snake Trap essentially is there because it's another secret. I didn't really want to have 2 explosive traps. And what Snake Trap does is actually pretty good. For 2 mana, you get 3 1/1s, which is really nice, actually. It's actually a very well-costed card.
Or 0 mana if it's off your Scientist.
Oh, yeah, or 0 mana when it comes off your Scientist, absolutely. But essentially they have charge because it happens on your turn, and then when the turn switches and your snakes can attack. So essentially they have charge. So unless the opponent can actually kill them, then they will get to attack. The other thing that they are beasts. There's not that many beasts anymore because you don't do the Buzzard with all the beast synergy. So this does give you some more, a couple of extra beasts to be able to use Houndmasters and kill commands and things like that. And then also having 3 different type of trap really kind of keeps your opponent honest. Like you can't just know, okay, that's definitely freezing trap. That's definitely explosive trap. They hit face or something, and then it doesn't go off. They're like, oh, crap. And then you could see people go, oh, it's snakes. And they suddenly freeze up a little bit like, I can't attack his minions anymore. Because if I attack his minions to make trades, I'm just giving him 3 more minions to make better trades against me. So
yeah, and especially with this deck, if I saw a Snake Trap come out, not only would I be confused, I'm like, well, damn, now there's a 3rd trap I have to worry about. But I would also assume that you're running Knife Jugglers or Scavenging Hyenas or both. Yeah, and if you're not running any of those, you're really gonna throw me off. So
I played around with a version that ran Knife Juggler, and everyone knows I love the Juggalo. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Juggalo, but in this deck, I felt like I was running I wanted to put in Death Rattle minions on that turn 2 kind of spot there, and if I ran Knife Jugglers, I'd have to run Unleashed to really make it worth it, you know. So I decided against that, but I felt like the snake trap was still really powerful, so I kept the snake trap in, and it's done great things for me. I mean, a lot of times it allows me to finish a game, make a couple of trades to protect the minions I really want to protect, and also just stop opponents in their tracks. They realize it's snakes, and they suddenly freeze up. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to react, and that's one of the real benefits of secrets, outside of the fact that they give you extra swings with your bow, is that they change the way an opponent plays against you, and they oftentimes play optimally because they don't know how to deal with, like, they're not sure what secret it is, so they have to test things out, which means they're not just doing the plan of their deck. They're playing into your deck. So it's been really effective to have that one snake trap in there. When you play against other hunters, though, oh man, it becomes the battle of who's got the flares when the other guy has the secret stuff.
Yeah, that's always going to be the case. So if trap hunters are even remotely in the meta, so
yeah, I will point this out too. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, I like, why this, why that, why that." This is the beauty of the current version of Hunter, is you could take the core of it, which is basically some traps, a bow, some Undertaker death rattle stuff, and then fill it out the way you want, and nobody has to do it the same way for it to be effective. Hunter is just generally good because that hero power does put pressure on the opponent. You know that you have as soon as you see Hunter, you're like, I'm on a clock. I am now on a clock. So
it's like playing Majora's Mask up in here.
It's tough, man. It's tough. and yes, you've got warrior and you've got priest who can kind of counteract the Hunter hero power, but in the end, I mean, they're still kind of on the back heels a little bit. They're doing that to react to the fact that you can continue to put that damage on them. So you're on the offensive all the time, and this is a deck that really puts pressure on. And if you enjoy that type of play, it's really fun.
I want to also just give credit to our chat room right now, who said Harrison Jones really needs a special emote when he triggers Snake Trap. So, Team 5, if you're listening,
get on that.
Have one, yeah.
Please. Thank you.
It'd be amazing.
So, Jocelyn, with the revenge of the Hunter, are you just having a small party? Are we invited this weekend? Will there be snacks?
I'm always having a party, and you guys are always invited. Come on. No, I'm so excited for this, and I did get a chance to play with it a little bit, and I literally went 50-50 with this. I won half, lost half, and every time I lost, it was strictly terrible draws. Like, when you get the cards that you need, and I know that that's pretty much the same for every deck, but then, it's really fun to play. It's the most fun I've had with Hunter in couple months, actually. So yeah. I really enjoy and I was trying Priest for a while there too, for the exact same reason. I really like the Death Rattle Undertaker type synergy there. So it's so much fun. I'm so excited.
Yeah, the thing I really like about this deck too, though, is it doesn't automatically falter just because you didn't get Undertaker in your opening hand.
Yeah,
it's totally fine without it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you pull it late, like I pulled it late in that game against the Priest, and it was fine because I had, I want to say, 2 other Death Rattle minions in my hand that were low cost, so I just deployed them all and had a 3/4 freaking Undertaker.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. The version that you linked here, the JB Fletcher version, this looks like a really good version as well. It's much more kind of combo based, I think. Like this one runs things like the Juggalo and the double snake trap. And the hyena, so it's kind of relying on cards to kind of work together with other cards a little more. And one thing that I found was I tended to be moving away from that, because my original version that I was trying out was Juggalo, Unleash the Hounds, Cult Master, that kind of stuff, Yeah. And eventually I started realizing, like, I'm still sitting around waiting for this big combo to go off, and I didn't want to be doing that. I wanted to feel like I was just proactively putting minions on the board, and it didn't matter if the makeup of my hand was exactly perfect every time, as long as everything that I had could kind of work on its own, and then would work really well together as well.
Yeah, so, I wanted to mention this because it's a really well written article, and B, the deck you wrote your article about today works really well. When I heard this was going to be the discussion topic for today, I got the deck list from you. I made it because I haven't played Hunter in probably a month or two. So and I went and logged some games with it, and I played 5 games and I won all 5. I got my hunter dominance done in a sitting. It definitely works, but I like this because it's same basic concept, but with significantly different card choices, and I like it. I feel like if you listen to this discussion here, you go read the article over at Hearthhead that you wrote, Dills, and you take a look at this, you get a really well-rounded view of what the state of Hunter is right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a free-for-all, which I really like, and there's actually not that many classes that have several different ways to play them right now.
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool to see that Hunter is kind of flavor it the way you like, and you can actually make it work.
Yeah, it went from being one of the most stale classes, like, well, there's one way to play it, and that's how you do it.
You must unleash.
Yeah,
or else
now
lose.
there's a couple nerfs that like we said at the top. Some people have went and said, oh well, now the class is dead. Well, no, now it's a very effective class with a lot of variety.
Yeah,
and that's badass.
And it's also a class that when you are playing on the ladder and you queue up and you get Hunter, you just go, here we go. and so in that sense, you kind of want to be the one playing the class that makes people do that,
Yep. Yep. This is
so, I enjoy my other classes. I still enjoy my aggro mage and and all that stuff. But I'm really having a blast playing the Hunter. Every game feels very different. And then of course you got the funnest card out there, which is Web Spinner, where you never know what you're gonna get. Sometimes you get that King Crush. Sometimes you get that Captain's Parrot. Let me point out a couple cards that you can put in as well, though, that I think are fun. You can put in, like you said, Garrett, loot hoarders and things like that, and make your deck a little bit more draw heavy and still getting the Undertaker value. And you can put in the Cult Masters, you can put in the Unleashed, you can put in the Juggalos. But you can put in a Captain Greenskin, and it's pretty cool in this deck. Because very often you will get sick value out of that Captain Greenskin.
I mentioned that last week when we were talking about the American qualifiers for the World Championship, and I was like, why did I just see a Captain Greenskin played? What just happened?
Because it's awesome in this deck.
You're right.
You're
absolutely right.
Yeah, you can get your weapon up to a 4-attack weapon, and then continue to get charges with traps, and just have never-ending True Silver champions to the face.
When it works, it is one of the most infuriating things in this game, which is why I say to Ben Brode, when are you going to nerf Captain Greenskin, sir?
Exactly.
Because I lost the game to it, and I'm honestly sick of this.
Here's the scenario, the perfect Hunter scenario with Captain Greenskin, right? Okay, you're playing it. You get your Web Spinner on the board. You get your weapon equipped. Your Web Spinner draws you a Captain's Parrot. You play your Captain's Parrot, it draws you Greenskin. Bang, I've got Greenskin in my hand. Boom, hits the board. Finally, Captain's Parrot value.
Hello, my name is William Dills Gregory. Welcome to Magical Christmas Land. Please enjoy your stay.
It happens. At least when you get the Captain's Parrot, it's not the worst thing in the world now. It used to be like, oh, that's the worst possible one I could get. It's a 2-mana 1/1. Now it's fine. I automatically. It's the only pirate in my deck. Automatically, Greenskin enters my hand. So
somewhere in the distance, I hear Husky cheering.
Yeah, the pirates are back. Yeah. Honorable mention too. While we're at it, I said that I was going to do it. I told Jocelyn I was going to do it because the Giants have been doing really well. So I went and I made a Giants Hunter deck. And it is terrible. But
epic is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, epically terrible. Essentially what it is, it's all the Giants, all the kinds of Giants. So you got Moltons, Mountains, and Sea Giants. And then basically the rest of the deck is like, how do I make these Giants work? How do I get to the point where I can play Giants?
So as opposed to the Giants that you root for, Dills, who are doing quite well, it works a lot like the Giants I root for, who played against the Eagles.
Yes,
yesterday.
those other Giants. Yeah,
and it did not end so well for them, which is unfortunate because death to the Eagles. But
so here's the thing: it's gone through a couple of iterations since I made it, but essentially, the idea here is I need to have ways to draw cards to get Mountain Giants if that's the one I get.
Did you post it anywhere?
Oh, yeah. It's
did?
in this article. Yeah, it's in this article right here. So
got it. I'm going to put it in the
You can actually put the link the link's at the bottom. It's got like Unleash the Hounds to use Sea Giants because you fill the board up with, and then you play a really cheap Sea Giant. And then, of course, you're going to take a lot of damage because your deck sucks. So Molten Giants are just naturally good in this deck.
I love the justification that this deck is really bad. I'm gonna take a lot of damage to my face, so I might as well put Mountain Giants.
Exactly. Yeah, the Molten Giants are
Molten
perfect.
Giants,
But then here's the thing, though. You've also got double Defender and double Sun Fury. So you oftentimes can get to the end where you just suddenly have a massive wall of Giants with Taunt, and then you win games that way. So,
oh my god.
And then it's got, because you need to get the Mountain Giants, so you got stuff like Cold Light Oracle and Youthful Brewmaster. So I can Cold Light Oracle, fill my hand up, brew it back, play it again, get some more cards. You got Unleash and Cult Master, and of course you got the Eagle Horn Bow and like Freezing Trap and stuff like that, just to try to somehow get some board control early on.
I want everyone to go read Dill's article, click on the link to this deck at the end, and look at it like an exhibit of primitive flying machines that led tons of people to their ultimate fates.
Yeah,
don't actually play it. Just it's entertainment value.
Exactly. This is the kind of deck you queue up in a casual game because you want to just have some fun. That's all this deck is for. And a lot of times you will just get absolutely destroyed. But the other guy will be left scratching his head, going, "Did a Hunter just play a Mountain Giant on me, and a Sea Giant, and two Molten Giants?"
So I'm not just playing a noob who just happens to be playing with whatever cards he happens to have. I'm playing against a severely confused individual.
He's got all the Giants.
This
is a guy who, this is a guy
who has all the epic Giants.
Yeah, he's got all the epic Giants, and he looked at them and he said, "These are 8/8s. They must be really good." And then he just put them all in his deck.
I think you broke Garrett.
That's wonderful.
It's a fun ass deck to play, though. It really is. I had a blast playing it. I played it on stream. I was drinking a lot of champagne that night. I may not have been playing very well.
Why aren't you playing drinking champagne tonight?
Tonight the Giants didn't win a series, that night the Giants had won a series. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I didn't. Yeah.
You just don't understand baseball like me and Jocelyn, Garrett.
Yeah, man. I'm on it now. Look out.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Jocelyn's a baseball fan now.
Not you too, Jocelyn.
I've converted her.
No.
Yep, absolutely.
No.
Who's your favorite player, Jocelyn?
Hunter Pence.
Of course. See? Yeah.
It's like top. My. No, I'm not gonna say it. Moving on to crazy game stories.
The whole world gone crazy.
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
This week, that was not Jiraxis, that was me, in reaction to everything Dill's just said. Our first crazy game story comes to us this week from Dylan, who wrote us an email with the title, Still in Tears. He says, "Hey guys, I was playing a match against a warlock as a priest and losing horribly. Around turn 4, I cast Thoughtsteal, nabbing a Sacrificial Pact and a Void Terror. Meh. I was sitting at 2 health and he had 4 giants on the board. Just the BM, he taunted like crazy, then played Lord Jiraxis with seconds to spare. I cannot describe how hard I was laughing as I drew Pact onto his hero. Drug Pact onto his hero. He died from PM. As the results banner came up, I was almost in tears, laughing my head off. Don't BM peeps, signed Dylan."
Yeah.
Well played, sir. I'm just clap.
The guy you played has proven his moronic tendencies on several accounts here. He BM'd you by playing a bunch of crap, and it sounds like he just didn't even attack or something like that, right?
Yep.
Then he runs Sacrificial Pact in his deck that has Jiraxis in it.
Period.
You're just asking for his priest to Thoughtsteal that thing,
Also,
man.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, he doesn't specify if this was constructed or arena. And I'm trying to think, maybe this warlock was in an arena and he truly didn't have a better choice than Sacrificial Pact, and he was lucky enough to get Jiraxis.
He had 4 giants on the board, so he got 4 giants in an arena draft.
Yeah, this had to be constructed.
This is a hand lock.
This has to be.
A douche lock. Trying to get away with it, and he couldn't do it. Good job, Dylan. One more for the good guys.
Well played, sir. Well played. And Dills, since you haven't been around to take any crazy game stories, you can read the next one.
All right, the Invincible Baron and his badass boss Ragnaros. Is this the title of the email?
Say that 5 times fast, sir.
Okay. Wow, that's this person is a poet. All right, greetings. Okay, I'm really looking forward to this email already. Greetings, perturbed poultry fans. I love listening to your podcast and love the crazy game segment. I was recently lucky enough to crack a Leroy, and since I don't play any decks that rely on him, I decided to dust him and craft the missing epics I needed for Handlock and Control Warrior deck. I took the Control Warrior for a spin in casual mode and ended up against the Priest. I felt like I was in a strong position the whole game. I was able to stack 20 plus armor and even got my Amani Berserker to swing for 11 at one point. However, I couldn't help but twist the knife at the end. I had a Baron getting out on the board with an empty hand. My opponent sitting at 12 health and played 3 small minions. He then played the Brawl he had picked up with Thought Steal. Not only did Baron survive the Brawl, but my next top deck was Ragnaros. Feeling a bit cheeky, I emoted sorry as I hit his face for 7 and hit end turn. Baron did his 2, then Rag did his 8 for the massive overkill. Anyone else take joy in seeing how deep in the negative they can put their opponent's health. Keep up the great work, guys. Nathan from Maryland.
No, Nathan. Nobody that has ever played a competitive card game in the history of anything takes pleasure in winning that horribly awesome.
I was gonna say this is kind of like the war of BMs. The like, no, don't ever. And then this guy's like, oh, do you guys ever?
Well, I like to BM my friends. I'm going to admit it right now. Me and Josh, sometimes I'm beating her, and I'm like, oh, hold on, let me do all these things here real quick. But I think that BMing on the ladders, I tend to avoid it unless they BM me real bad during the game. Unless they're a sorry when they do something.
All I just heard was that you beat Jocelyn, and in my head, I'm like, it's you beating Jocelyn physically. So congratulations on being a terrible person, Dills.
And I BM while I do it too. Yeah. I'm like,
sorry.
1 for you, 1 for me, 1 for you. BM beating.
Sorry, well played.
Yeah,
greetings.
But I think the BM there's a time and a place for BM. And sometimes the ladder is the wrong time and wrong place, and you pay for it when they Thought Steal your sack packed. But it can be fun. BM can be fun. Just be careful, guys. BM responsibly.
Yeah. I have nothing else to add to that. Onward to emails.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
Send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Andrew writes in and says, hey, Cluckers, until recently, I had only seen a few bots on the ladder. After playing 7 bots tonight and becoming more infuriated by their slow and often asinine plays, I decided to write you all a letter. Well, thank you. I'm listening. After spending the better part of a year earning cards and learning the game, these bots are sucking all of the fun out of Hearthstone for me. I am sure Blizzard is looking for a way to solve the issue, but as more bots inundate this game, I feel like there is a real possibility of legitimate players quitting. Therefore, I've decided to report every opponent that I suspect to be a bot to hacks@blizzard.com and would recommend that other legitimate players do the same. Frankly, at this point, I'd rather Blizzard spend resources solving the bot issue before adding any other features to the game. Reddit seems to think that discussing the issue is causing the issue. I think that there's a lot of players who like this game but are unwilling to grind or spend money for cards. Discussing the issue isn't changing that fact. While it might be a grind, it's one that I've had a lot of fun with, and am super annoyed by those that are attempting to cheat their way towards something the rest of us has earned through time or money. What are your thoughts on bots? Keep up the great show. I don't think you're going to be surprised to hear all three of us, I would assume, think it's total bullshit and agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah, bots suck.
Yeah, they do suck. But at the same time, I mean, if you, like, he says right in his email that he's gone through the grind and he really had a lot of fun with it. So if you're having fun with the game, then don't let other people's bad habits influence the fun you're having in Hearthstone.
No, then the bots win, man. Don't let the bots win.
And they become self-aware, then they rise up, and yeah.
And then we've got to go find John Connor, who's busy listening to Guns N' Roses behind that redheaded kid with the mullet on the dirt bike.
Yeah. being really good at hacking things. Yeah, it's the thing is yeah, it sucks to play against them. Just keep doing what you're doing, which is report them. If you're pretty sure it's a bot, you can report them. And Blizzard, the more that they get reported as bots, the better it is for Blizzard to deal with it and all that kind of stuff. So you're doing the right thing. It does suck. Ben Brode actually did tweet that they're working on it.
Didn't they just have a big wave of bans regarding that?
Yeah, I feel
I'm
like
not sure.
maybe like a month ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't a month ago, it's coming damn near close to it. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I heard about this, but
Shayla in the chat room is asking how you tell if it's a bot.
Okay, well, there's a couple of telltale signs. The first is oftentimes they are a gold shaman. So when you see a gold shaman, you can kind of assume bot off the bat. They run shaman a lot because it's kind of is this pre-made algorithm for how to play with them, and then they play a bunch of these little crappy minions, and they play Sea Giant. And it's just, it doesn't win very often. It's not really that great of a deck, but it wins often enough, And bots just sit there and queue up over and over and over again. They also never use the targeting arrow. Things just happen.
Yeah, that's a big giveaway. Also, they take equal times between turns, and it's usually long.
Yeah. So when you see them when they'll attack like kind of in a weird pattern. It's like attack, and then you wait a second, and then the one on the far left attack, and then they wait a second, and then one on the far right attack, and then one in the middle, and it's weird, like the patterns that they, because most players when they decide to swing with all their guys will just kind of go down the line, right?
It's the Hearthstone equivalent of your opponent saying, "I was not programmed to love."
Yeah. And they also do some really strange plays too, because the way the bots work is they actually will kind of run through the possible moves, and once they find a move that does what they want to do, like what they've considered like a successful move, they will do that move even if some of the parts of that move make no sense. Like they will stop looking for the best way to do it once they find a way that works. So there's actually a post on Reddit about a bot BMing Raynad because it earth shocked a creature that had no anything on it. And then proceeded to like kill him or whatever. But basically it had come to the conclusion that if I Earthshock this and then I do this and I do this, I will get lethal. So once it found a way that it worked, then it just stopped looking and it just went ahead and did that, even though it was ridiculous of what it actually did.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. I have faith that Blizzard is working on it. They don't want people botting. Because it does make the game less fun for other people. So.
No, and for those of us who have been, playing a lot of Blizzard games for a very long time, Blizzard's not afraid to swing the ban hammer.
No.
Very, very long and wide.
And when people do start getting banned for it, they will stop botting because, to lose the account that you botted up all the way, that's pretty painful,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Chat room's confirming they did ban, but they were in China.
Oh, okay. Chinese bans.
Yeah.
The Chinese were botting? You don't say.
No.
What?
Never happened.
I've only been playing WoW since vanilla. I've never heard of such a thing.
Never heard of that.
Anyways.
They hire small children to do their grinding.
Yeah.
Sorry, what? They do.
And other people. You don't generalize.
Sure, just people. Fine, whatever.
Don't generalize. You already.
Right, it's generally middle-aged people that they hire. Oh, it's young people. They get young people, and then they do the gold farming thing, and they all sit around and they play for like 16 hours a day.
Moving on, Andrew, thank you for your email, by the way. And again, just to reiterate, if you suspect someone of botting, go ahead and report them to hacks@blizzard.com. Dills, you want to take the next email?
Sure. This is from Mad Dog. Says, I am a casual player, and I love using my shaman deck. Is it a gold shaman? Are you a bot, Mad Dog? I currently run the Reincarnate Sylvanas combo. It is so much fun, but I'm finding some extra uses for Reincarnate that have been helping me out. When I got up against a handlock and they put out a Twilight Drake, I love using Reincarnate on it and then killing the Drake with a totem or using Reincarnate on an Ancient of War or any other taunted up minion. Is this a good use of Reincarnate, or should I hold on to it for a combo? I also run a Cairn. No, that's fine.
If you're winning, no.
Yeah.
If that wins you the game,
you're silencing a Twilight Drake, or you're silencing a Ancient of War. I mean, essentially that's what you're doing. Is you're silencing them for 2 mana. It's fine. Do it up.
Yeah, especially, that's the difference between you winning or losing the game. No, don't stop doing that. I don't think it's necessarily a game plan. I wouldn't immediately see a handlock and just be like, well, I'm saving this reincarnate for Ancient of War. But if it gets to that point and you don't have an answer for it, hell yeah. Good adaptive skills, Mad Dog. Good job.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually talked about that when we were discussing if this was a good card or not. The fact that it actually is fairly flexible in what it can do.
Right. The fact that we even though I don't run it in my Shaman deck, the fact that it is really almost never a dead card works in its favor. That's why it got a favorable grade from, I believe, all three of us. I'd have to go back and check. I don't remember what we graded it, but
pretty sure.
Yeah. Pretty sure all three of us were like,
some cool stuff. Did you see the Baron Rivendare Alarmobot? Hold on. Baron Rivendare Alarmobot Malagos reincarnate combo that somebody ran to then one shot somebody with a whatchamacallit, a lava burst. So you play your Alarmobot, and then it summons Malagos. And then what you do is you put Ancestral Spirit on Malagos, and you have Baron Rivendare out there, and then you reincarnate it, and then it comes back with like 3 of them or whatever. And then you get 5 of them on the board or something like that, 25 spell power, and then you Lava Burst for 31.
I'm way less interested in that, and I'm way more interested in how many times this guy had to restart his game until he got this.
He was doing it in casual, so it wasn't like a game where he set it up against his buddy or something. But I'm sure it took forever to get it done.
I salute his creativity.
It is very it takes a lot of effort to get done, and and then you get to the top of the subreddit. So congratulations, you did it.
Jocelyn, who's our final email today from?
Last one comes to us from Mark in England. He says, "Hi, TAC. I just finished listening to your thoughts on rarity of basic cards in Arena, and I felt I had to write in and give my take on them. I've always viewed the rarity system to be the difficulty of a card, not the power. Muckla gives your opponent bananas, Leroy gives your opponent whelps, Deathwing clears the board, and discards your hand. I don't think that these 3 cards are strictly more powerful than, say, a Yeti or a Boulder Fist after taking mana cost into consideration, but instead are much harder to use correctly. Most legendary cards either give your opponent an advantage in some way or appear very mana inefficient unless you correctly utilize their special ability. The same logic follows for all rarities. Sea Giant is harder to use effectively than Ancient Watcher, which in turn is harder to use effectively than River Crocolisk. It's not that the Arcanite Reaper is more powerful or less powerful than Gorehowl, it's that it's easier to make efficient use of. I believe the proportion of legendary cards in popular decks backs this up. Aside from Control Warrior, it is unusual for legendary cards to take up more than even 30% of a deck. But if higher rarity simply meant more powerful, you would expect to see pro players running as many legendaries as they can. Zoo is one of the most successful decks but has no legendaries and only 1 rare. Basic cards should be as powerful as legendary cards. Whether this is actually the case in all instances is another thing entirely. Thanks for reading and keep up the good work." So I thought that this was a really, really great point, something we didn't really touch on. And I also kind of wanted to give Dills a chance to weigh in because last week we talked about the problems with rarity in Arena and how someone can have 4 flame strikes. So I thought this was a really cool point, though. Legendaries are really, really hard to use.
No, it's true. I mean, some of them are just inherently powerful, like Cairn.
Yep.
Cairn is just powerful.
Yeah, Cairn's not hard to use, but he's just straight up value.
Slam it on the board, and then it's awesome.
I was like, hey, look at this guy. Isn't he awesome? Yeah.
Yeah. But, like somebody like, it is true, like somebody like a Ragnaros or a Ysera, it's tricky to know when to actually play those cards, even though they're just good anyway. You could use them at the wrong time, and then they die, and they don't do that much for you, So it is important to kind of understand what you're doing, why you're using them there. Leroy only really works as a finisher. Muckla, he gives bananas away, so you got to find a time to use that. Usually it's when they have an empty board and stuff like that. So I mean, I think there's definitely some truth to what he's saying, which is that the rarity system and kind of with and not as it being its major function, but as kind of a byproduct of what it does, actually does make it so that a new player doesn't have to deal with really difficult mechanics when they first start playing the game. So And then as you get better at the game, you start to figure out how things actually work and how to optimally play them. And then suddenly I know RAG. I know how to make that work for me. So that's an interesting point that you make. So you were, Jocelyn, you were saying something about the rarity of things like Flame Strike?
Oh yeah, last week we had a listener write in, and he was asking basically about like rarity in Arena and how we should assign, or not we, how Hearthstone should assign rarity to all the basic cards, to basically teach new players about rarity and how it factors in, as well as fix the issues in Arena where players can get like 4 Flame Strikes because they're in with all the common rarity cards.
Yeah, because they're basic.
Yeah,
I mean that is one of the things we've talked about, like things like mind control. They could have just made mind control a rare or an epic or something, and it would have fixed the problem in Arena, which was that people were picking 6 mind controls and just mind controlling all of your crap for 8 mana, and you could never play anything again.
Yeah, and it was Arena, so turn 8 almost always happened, especially if you're playing against a priest.
Yeah, and then in Constructed you could only run 2 anyway, so and plus. The other people are playing a much faster deck. They're probably just going to kill you anyway. The games are much less control oriented in Construct, or at least they were at that time. So I mean, yeah, I think you can definitely do things without nerfing or buffing the card itself, by just altering rarity. And I think Blizzard's aware of that, though. And some of the rarities on the Nax cards, I think they got pretty right, because you don't want some of these cards to be really, really prevalent, but some of them are okay. So. It's an interesting point, but I don't think currently anything really has to change. Maybe they could make Flame Strike a rare, but I don't know. It seems okay. Flame Strike sucks, though. It does suck to play against, but it's not impossible.
Nerubian Egg and Haunted Creeper have helped a lot.
Sure,
because they're both killing at common rarity. So I'm right. I've had a bit to drink tonight. Just, right, Nerubian Egg is common.
Absolutely. Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, those cards definitely help combat. They definitely help combat Flame Strike. But
no, Nerubian Egg is rare. I knew there was a reason. I wasn't sure about this. Yeah. Sorry. So Haunted Creeper has helped. Nerubian Egg obviously a lot rarer in.
But you've got other
Arena.
things too. You've got like that have always existed. You've got 3 1s with Divine Shield, and you've got 3 2s that pop out 2 1s, or 2 3s that pop out 2 1s, and there's a lot of it's always there's been ways to play around it, and then it costs 7 mana. So even though it sucks. Oftentimes, even if the mage flame strikes you, they don't get to put minions down on their turn. And then you can actually gain the board back. What really sucks is when they have like 4 in a row, and you just never could play anything because they just keep doing it.
That's more or less what the email we talked about last week was covering. Yeah. And I honestly, I kind of agree. I would not be against it, or honestly that surprised if like tomorrow they were just like, hey, just so you guys know, Flame Strike's now rare. Just be like, okay. Lightning Strike's rare.
No, it'd be fine as long as they moved something into the common slot that made sense as well. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to balance it correctly.
Or Lightning Storm, sorry. End of the show. I'm almost out of my martini. It is showing.
So what's funny is actually that Flame Strike. So let's see, Flame Strike, Consecrate, Swipe. There's not that many board clears that are, I guess. Oh yeah, Holy Nova. Not that many board clears that are impossible to play around that are of basic quality. I think it's actually all okay. Like I play a lot of Arena, and it doesn't piss me off as much as it used to. I think the more Arena you play, the more you kind of just go, okay, this is just how I have to do it. I have to play around Flame Strike.
That's very true.
Yeah, but I understand the frustration. The 4th Flame Strike. And I never see it coming.
And I'm a bit afraid to say this, but I've been noticing this a lot in my Magic drafts lately. Because in Khans of Tarkir, there's this common spell, or at instant speed called Feat of Resistance, and I will honestly first pick that out of my pack over a lot of the rares and uncommons that currently exist, because that card does work.
I'm so confused when it comes to all this con stuff, man, because everything is 3 colors, and
it is without a doubt the best set I have played since I started playing Magic. It is so good, and you and I, and Jocelyn, this weekend I'm going to be alone and bored and lonely, so I'm going to sit down with the 2 of you, and we're gonna learn some Magic hardcore.
Let's do it.
It's gonna be fun.
Yay.
You need to show Jocelyn how to use counters.
I asked him about that this afternoon.
We've had this discussion, and it is very inside baseball, so let's not talk any more about it here.
Why is it impossible? It's so annoying.
Anywho, thank you for your email, everyone. Again, send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. That'll more or less do it for this week's episode. And again, hey, 1 year of the show. Woo! Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. Cheers to everybody out there. Cheers to the chat room.
We've thanked the fans. We've thanked the chat room, all the listeners. I just want to, real quick, get sappy for 2 seconds. Thank you, Dills. Thank you, Jocelyn, because you're like brothers and sisters to me.
Oh, we're like multiple brothers and multiple sisters.
Yeah.
No, but we're all family, and it's adorable.
But I feel the same way, you guys. I did not know where this show was going to end up, and couldn't be happier with what we've been able to do. And yeah, you guys are amazing to work with.
Yeah, looking very much forward to chilling with you guys in a couple weeks. So
I can't believe it's so close. It's so exciting.
It's gonna be a good time. We're gonna have fun. Or get really sick, and
we're gonna have a lot of fun. We won't remember all of it.
Slightly alcohol poisoned. I'm not sure, but whatever the case is, there will be memories, and at the very least, I'm sure somebody will be slightly more sober and have a camera that operates. So,
anybody else who's coming, by the way, any people in the chat room and everything, please come and say hi to us if you're there at BlizzCon, because we want to meet as many of you as we can. Some of you we've met before. Mm-hmm. I want to meet you again.
Nothing makes me happier than when my fiance is by me and someone goes, "Hey, are you Garrett?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am."
Like, see,
it's totally a thing.
People know me.
Yeah, it's funny. Anywho, yeah, it's a great show, great year, guys. As always, want to thank those of you who are supporting us over at patreon.com/TAC. Thank you guys so damn much, because there's an obscene amount of you at this point supporting us for an amount of money that I never thought I'd ever see for any side project I've ever done. So thank you guys very much. This week I wanted to thank Josh C., Mike W., Daniel S., Adrian D., and Christopher T. Thank you all so very much for supporting the Angry Chicken. And also, if you're listening on iTunes or whatever catcher you're using, we really appreciate reviews. From the North American iTunes store this week, I wanted to thank Priapus, Mornash, JC7792, and Logan W. Thank you all very much for your reviews. And I think actually for the first time since we launched this show, we have caught up on iTunes thank yous.
Wow.
Yeah.
That means we need more of them, though.
Exactly.
That means we need more, guys. You need to get out there and leave them. So we have more to say.
If you are an iTunes listener and you have not left us a review yet, leave one. We would love to hear your feedback, or of course just your glowing praise. But we love feedback too. Leave it. Let us know.
Say what's from the heart.
Yeah, let us know what's on your mind. Thank you guys very much. Anyone from Canada this week, Jocelyn?
We did. We had a 5-star review from Drill. From
Canada.
Drill.
Drill.
Yeah.
So those who can't see the spelled version is, it's the life. Drill. Hey, Tychus, what you take as your ultimate? Drill. Yep, Heroes reference there for you who didn't catch that. As always, The Angry Chicken is a production of amove.tv and frogpants.com. Email us at tacpodcast@gmail.com. All of our past live shows, all the way back to episode 1, Death by Sheep, can be found on youtube.com/StarcastShow. If you're not following that YouTube channel, please do so. You can also get the Angry Chicken t-shirt over at slashloot.com. Follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast, and catch us live every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/AMoveTV or on the mobile stream on alphageekradio.com. Also, big thanks to Brian Griffith, who is the musician who made our intro music that we have been using for a freaking year now. So go check his work out over at briangriffithmusic.com. Dills, where can folks find you when you're not talking about this specific Blizzard game?
When I'm not talking about this one, I'm talking about another one called World of Warcraft, and that's on the Instance every Friday morning. And we had a really fun time this last week. T was there. We've had T there for a couple weeks in a row now, so good times were had by all. You can also find me talking about the Giants, who are in the playoffs still. Lost a heartbreaker last night, but one of the best playoff games I think I've ever watched. And the Cardinals, they just hit one more home run than we could handle. But tomorrow I will be getting drunk in the middle of the day watching that because the game's at 1 o'clock. So kind of sucks, but you do what you do as a fanatic. And talking about tonight on the Torture Cast, we're going to have, I think, 5 people on tonight. So it's going to be a little bit insane. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best Garrett impersonation and try to wrangle everyone in and not let people talk over each other. We'll see how that actually happens. So check out torchcast.com if you want to check that stuff out. And then, Jocelyn, I'm doing some extra live stuff with you, I think, right? Is that next weekend?
25th.
The 25th. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to talk about that, I'm sure, but I will be participating in that as well. So
I believe I'm also participating. I just don't know in what.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to steal you guys for various points.
Yeah, but I want to plug that as well because I'll be helping out with that, and it's a cool thing. And Jocelyn, you take it away. You tell people what the hell is going on with that.
Yeah, I was about to say, Joss, where can folks go to support your Extra Life fundraiser?
They can actually, if you'd like to make a donation, it's bit.ly/TGI2014, and that's all caps. We have already done fantastically. I wanted to say thank you to Aaron W. for an awesome donation over the weekend that just like took my breath away. You are amazing. So thank you everyone so much for the support so far. We're going to be streaming for 24 hours straight. It's Children's Miracle Network fundraiser that we do every year. We're going to be streaming right here on the A-Move Twitch channel. So we're going to start up at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to stream right straight through until I think 9 a.m. Eastern the next day. I'm starting a little bit earlier because of the time difference. So you won't catch my first couple of hours of gaming, but you will after that. And it's going to get progressively more and more tired and progressively more and more drunk. And it's always a great time. So our goal this year, I think, is $5,000 as a team. Last year, we raised just over $4,000. So we're really making a good push this year. I'm super excited. And if you guys want to support it, we really appreciate it. Everyone is playing for a different hospital in their area. I'm playing for Sick Kids in Toronto. And yeah, so if you want to support us, it's bit.ly/TGI2014, capital TGI.
Awesome. Everyone should go do this. It's awesome. I'm very excited to be a part of your Extra Life drive this year, other than just giving you the Twitch channel to just run amok on. I'm really looking forward to hopefully playing some games with you. And maybe
it's
deals.
So much fun. It's so much fun every single year. And I love the stream. Everyone is super supportive. Chat room is awesome. And it's just, I get to play video games with my friends for 24 hours, and it's for a fantastic cause. So I love it every single October. So yeah, 2 weeks, under 2 weeks now.
Hell yeah. Bring it on.
I am not prepared.
Illidan agrees with you. Anywho, you can follow me on Twitter at Garrett Art. My website is nomoonart.com. That's my graphic design portfolio, as well as a form where you can contact me if you're looking for a freelance graphic designer. Also, check out Into the Nexus, the Heroes of the Storm podcast. We'll be having a new episode this Thursday. And also, my other show, A-Move Radio, with Kyle and Ben. We're switching to a bi-weekly recording. We're going to be doing it on Fridays. We haven't figured out the time yet. But this Friday, we're doing our first Friday show. It's just going to be me and Kyle because Ben will be out of town. And if anyone has any inside baseball podcasting questions, that's what we're taking. We're just doing a Q&A about podcasting, about our career as podcasters. Basically, we got one email asking about where the hell StarCast is. So we decided we're going to answer that question and then probably go much deeper than the person wanted to know.
Okay, so here's my question. What kind of mic does Kyle use? Because he sounds fantastic.
We'll be answering that very question on A-Move Radio this Friday. So if you have inside baseball questions about me or Kyle or any of the shows we have done, send them to amovetv@gmail.com, and we'll probably throw them on this Friday's episode. And if you haven't already subscribed to A-Move Radio, well, what are you doing? Because we don't do a video. We do a live video recording, but we don't put it on YouTube. It is audio only as far as we're concerned. So go check that out. And also, don't let your kids listen because we curse a lot. So.
There's swears, guys.
Yeah, there's dirty words.
A lot of them.
But not a lot of them. We're not on there. It's not like the South Park movie up in here, but every now and then, a fudge might drop out of somebody's mouth. It happens. It happens. Much like on this show, actually. Especially if Dills is here and he's had a couple.
Yeah. What are you talking about, man? I never swear. Ever. It's never happened.
Anywho,
kids, come to my stream. Kids, little kids.
He doesn't
come to
need
my
it.
stream.
Oh God, I feel
and I will teach you nothing but positive things.
I feel terrible for anybody who has tuned into me playing Heroes of the Storm. With a child in earshot, assuming that it would be as safe as Angry Chicken is, because it is not. I am not a happy person when I am losing at games. It is not good. Anywho, go check out our sponsors, Doghouse-Systems.com. The code to use is TAC, and that'll get you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig. Again, that's Doghouse-Systems.com. They've been sponsoring us since the very beginning. We thank them for their support. We thank you all for listening. We'll see you all next week for episode 50 of The Angry Chicken. Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes! Yes! Yes!